No one lives forever, but what if your time is up sooner than expected? Today, we discuss how to prepare for the unexpected. Then the 3 questions you need to ask when planning for longevity, and why you need to teach your kids all about money. All this and more on today's episode of The Wealthy Life. Welcome to The Wealthy Life. What would happen to your family situation if something were to happen to you? Don't leave your loved ones exposed to risk. Portfolio manager Franco Papalia is with us today to make sure you're prepared for the unexpected. Franco, welcome to The Wealthy Life.
Thank you, Sybil. It's a pleasure to be here.
So how many years have you been in the financial profession helping people with their finances?
It's been 42 years, Sybil.
Go on, 42 years? Did you start when you were 10?
Very close, thank you.
So when it comes to planning for the unexpected, what are the most common situations that you've encountered over your years in the business?
Well, you know, we've all got certain expectations for how our lives should turn out, but something always pops up and messes up our plans.
Yes.
You know, some of those things are financial. You know, like the loss of a job can delay some of our financial goals, achieving some of our financial goals, but more common are emotional blows, like an illness or divorce or the loss of a loved one.
Right, and I think those can have a major impact, like you say, emotionally, but also financially. What are the main financial implications that you've seen when one of those triggering events happens? Well,
I'd like to share a story with you. It's about a family, a young family with 3 children, and it speaks to why it's important to have our estate documents in place.
Okay.
The family was fairly financially successful. The father was a 50-50 business owner in a thriving business. The wife had a successful career in the medical industry, but it all changed. At age 52, the husband had a fatal heart attack.
Oh my goodness. Nobody would be expecting that.
No, and so there was a lot of planning that should have been done ahead of time that was not in place. There was no will in place. And,
yikes.
Yeah, and also there was no partnership agreement in place in the husband's business with his business partner.
Oh my goodness. So, I mean, think about that. No will, no partnership agreement. What did that put the family through?
Well, first of all, there was huge emotional stress with the family, and so on top of that, because there was no will and no partnership agreement, it created a financial mess. When there's no will in place in British Columbia, the public trustee steps in and distributes the assets, and in this case, the assets portion of the assets went to the minor children in trust for the minor children.
Which maybe isn't what the family wanted. And that's the thing, when you don't have a will, then somebody else is going to step in and decide how those assets are distributed. That's a challenge.
Yeah, big challenge. And also when it came to the business, there was no partnership agreement. And so there was no way to fairly distribute the assets. And the family ended up getting less than 50% of the value of the business.
Okay, so there's a real financial implication there, less than 50% of the value of the business.
Yeah.
So what should they have done? What are some things that they could have done better?
Well, there was one saving grace in the business aspect. There was life insurance policies on the life of the husband and the partner. And so the proceeds from that life insurance ended up being part of the payout to the estate.
Well, thank goodness there was that, and there was something for the family to have.
Yeah, that was definitely a bonus, a great thing to have in place.
But you know, when you think about the things that people should have had, so they should have had a partnership agreement, is the one thing you mentioned. They should have had a will in place, absolutely. I was going to say they should have had insurance, but they already had that. So the insurance was one thing that they can tick off, as they had at least a little bit of preparation. You know, you think about it, we all know we're going to die. We don't live forever. So although we're talking about dying being an unexpected event, it is expected. It's just not expected to maybe happen at age 52. So at what age should people get a will?
Well, I think that, as soon as you're of age to get a will, you should have a will. I mean, there's three things that you could do to get prepared for the unexpected.
Yeah.
One is really basic. It's have a rainy day fund, a bank account with some cash that you can access very quickly. Because
if you're waiting for estate proceeds, that can get caught up and delayed. So have some emergency savings that you can access right away. Very important.
Yeah. A second thing to do is a great example in the story is having the proper insurance in place, and also beneficiary designations on all of your major assets.
Which people should recheck their beneficiary designations and make sure they're right.
Right.
That's great.
Yeah, and a big part of it is having a plan, a financial plan in writing. And so when you have something in writing, you can refer back to it when the stress happens, when the unexpected happens.
So the key thing here for viewers is to really plan ahead. Think about what would happen if some of these unexpected events do happen, because they probably will. And it's better to be prepared for it. Life insurance can be great. If you want to know how much life insurance you need, go to thewealthylife.com. We have a great financial calculator on there to assist. Franco, thank you for sharing the story and these great tips to help people. It's been great having you.
Thank you, Sybil. Appreciate it.
And after the break, are you prepared to live to 110? Yes, you heard me right. We'll cover the 3 questions you need to ask yourself to plan for longevity.
The Wealthy Life is brought to you by investment dealer Raymond James. Life well planned. See what a Raymond James advisor can do for you.
Wouldn't it be great to predict the future? Who wouldn't love that? Dr. Joseph Coughlin, author of The Longevity Economy, joins us today to share the 3 questions you need to ask yourself to ensure a great life and a long life. Dr. Joe, welcome to the show today.
Sybil, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
And I guess I should say, I call you Dr. Joe because I've heard you speak a few times and I just feel like that's your name. But I'm not the only one who calls you that, am I?
I've been called much worse, but no, you're right. I've been called Dr. Joe from the UK to Canada, US. It's caught on, so I think I'll keep it.
Now, tell us a little bit about MIT AgeLab, because that's your day-to-day work. And how many years have you been there?
Sure. The AgeLab is based in the School of Engineering, but it's a lab that I actually started in 1999 to start thinking about all the things we're going to be doing in older age, or imagining a lifetime of 100 years. So everything from transportation and driving to the houses that we live in, to how we provide care, to how you and I met, which is how do we think about planning for longevity? Not simply retirement, but a long, long time.
Well, yeah, because longevity, not everybody wants to live to 100, or at least they think they don't. But I think everybody would like to be 100 or 110 if they knew that they were healthy and able to have a high quality life. Now, in the work that you've done, you've actually come up with the 3 most important questions that people should ask. What are they?
Well, some of them are going to sound silly to people, but give me a few minutes to make my case. So the first one is, how are you going to get an ice cream cone? So for me, that's an important question because ice cream is its own food group. But actually, it begs something even more important. Do you know the little things that make you smile? Imagine it's a hot summer night and you want a soft serve ice cream. In fact, you want a chocolate vanilla, shall we say, blended cone, and you want it now. The question is, do you live, have you chosen to retire where you have access to those things that you make you smile on the split second you want them? Most of us don't plan in advance a week to get a haircut or days in advance to get an ice cream cone. So the retirement question is, do you know what the things are that make you smile day to day? And do you live near them, or do you have the transportation alternatives to make that connection?
Or maybe you buy an ice cream machine to put in your kitchen.
Yeah, but part of the fun is standing out there in line and having mosquitoes bite you while you get your ice cream cone.
That's true too. Maybe not the mosquitoes part.
Yeah, that's true.
What's the second question people need to ask?
Well, the second question is also perhaps sounds a little silly, but again, give me a moment, which is who is going to change your light bulbs? Think about it. All those big and little things we take for granted every day, taking out the bins, changing light bulbs, stocking our kitchen cabinets and the like. As we get older, our homes become, shall we say, extreme living. That same reach you did when you were young was not a big deal. Or climbing that ladder to change a light bulb with your partner yelling at you, get off the ladder, you're going to break your hip. Well, by the way, you're not going to break your hip on your own, but now that they've yelled at you, you're probably going to be distracted and fall. No, the little things are, have you identified the services, the trusted people you would allow in your home or in the home of your partner when she's by herself and 80, 90 more years old to change light bulbs, to fix appliances and the like?
And not everybody has a son-in-law or a daughter-in-law or a family member they can call on. So there's other professionals out there, but you need to think about this. That's an important consideration.
Yeah, and they're not free all the time. So now there are countless services out there, but part of longevity planning is identifying the ones you trust and the ones you can afford.
Yes, having the money to pay for them. And what's the third question?
The third one is one of my favorites because it also involves food, which is who are you going to have lunch with? Think about it. You know, in the morning, most of us don't want to have breakfast with anyone. We're kind of grouchy, or at least I am. And dinner might take care of itself. But during the day, who are you going to have lunch with? This is a real measure of how big is your social network. That is friends, family, the people that just say, not just, hey, how you doing? But really want to know, really care. These are the people that will not just reinforce to make sure that you're eating well, but they're the ones who check in on you. They're the ones who make sure you're taking your medications. They're the ones you call when you need something. And so that measure of who you're going to have lunch with is a measure of your social capital, not just your retirement savings.
So those are all great. How am I going to get an ice cream cone? How am I going to change my light bulb? And who am I going to have lunch with? Probably didn't say it quite the way you do, but that is fabulous. And for those of you watching who want to learn more about this and about the longevity economy, we have a limited number of books to give away. Dr. Joe, there we go.
Yep. I have to show everyone the longevity economy. And by the way, it's a lot of fun. And for the women in the audience, as you know, Sybil, I've got a chapter in here. The future is female. For the guys, too bad.
Well, Dr. Joe, thanks for being on the show today. Pleasure having you.
Always great seeing you, Sybil. Thank you.
And want to guarantee your kids have lifelong financial success? Find out how after the break.
The Wealthy Life is brought to you by investment dealer Raymond James. Life well planned. See what a Raymond James advisor can do for you.
Do you want your kids to have lifelong financial success? Financial education connector Papaloukas shares important tips for you and your kids. Marvalee, welcome to the show today.
Thanks so much, Sybil, for having me here.
So you have a really interesting title. You call yourself a connector. What exactly does that entail?
Well, I like to connect our youth with financial lessons through volunteers, teachers, connecting them to learn more about how to make good financial decisions.
Which is a really important thing that every kid should know. So whose job is it to teach kids about money? Whose role is that?
Well, really, it's everybody's. It can be parents, teachers, and organizations such as Junior Achievement.
Yeah.
Also, we've got opportunities for children to teach each other. One child will inspire another when they start saving. So
I like that. So, I mean, the kids can teach themselves and teach each other. But I think it's really important what you said. It takes everybody. And I think what's happening in society today is maybe parents are expecting teachers to do it. Maybe teachers are expecting parents to do it. And then there's nonprofit organizations such as Junior Achievement that are stepping up to kind of fill some of those gaps. What would you say are some of the most important lessons that kids need to learn about money?
Well, from an early age, learning the difference between needs and wants, and then looking at budgeting, looking at spending, saving, sharing. There's a lot of lessons.
There is. Now let's talk a little bit about needs versus wants, because I think that's really one of the most important lessons that kids need to know and learn at a young age. So what's the difference between needs and wants, in your opinion?
Well, we can actually, a need is something that is essential, and a want is something that you don't necessarily need. But we can often justify some of our wants and believe their needs. So it's good to have those discussions.
Absolutely. And I can think of an example. I remember I was talking to someone the other day, and they wanted to buy a vehicle, but they couldn't afford it. And I said, well, why don't you just get a bus pass? Because it'll get you where you need to go. I don't want to take the bus. I need a car. No, that's a want.
Yes.
So examples like that. So obviously budgeting and saving is another important lesson. Any tips that you see kids learning?
Yeah, with budgeting, it's when they first start getting an income. I think that's the time to sit down and talk to them about it. And, for them to have a chance to look at how do they live within their means right from the beginning, and paying themselves first. All those important lessons, putting money away at the beginning, and learning how to live within their means.
And I think that's when learning about money really starts to connect for kids, is when they start earning and making money. And they might be little. They might be, 2 years old, and it's just putting their plate back into the kitchen, helping out with some household chores, or it might be a paper route or then another job. But when they start earning that money, there's something different about it. It's a lot harder to spend money that you've earned yourself than it is to spend other people's money.
Yeah, definitely. And we find that at a young age, the kids will actually see the difference when you use the language, like having a balance in your account, making a deposit, withdrawal. And when you start showing them that if they continue to put deposits in and the balance increases, when you start saying, oh, you can take a withdrawal to buy something that's not necessarily a need, they immediately go, oh, actually, no, I want to keep my balance going up.
Oh, that is absolutely great. So aside from the financial benefits, because when people are financially successful, and by the way, viewers, there is a secret to being wealthy. Does everyone want to know what it is? Spend less than you earn. Oh my gosh, it is really that easy. It sounds easy, and it is easy, but you just spend less than you earn and you will always have enough. You will always feel wealthy. But there's also some non-financial benefits that come with financial literacy. What are some of those?
We find that youth that have good financial money management skills, they're more self-confident, they have more resilience, they have less stress.
Oh, absolutely. And if you feel confident and less stress, you're going to be happier. You're going to feel in control. So what can people do to learn about money? Where can they go?
Well, we actually, at Junior Achievement BC, we've put our programs online, and they're available. You can actually speak to financial advisors and people in the industry, and speaking, and again, having the opportunity to learn at your age level and meeting where you're at.
Which is all great. So if people want to bring in a volunteer from Junior Achievement, they should just ask their teacher.
Absolutely. We've got our programs are even now we have programs running in classrooms, and the teachers will run a financial literacy program, and we bring volunteers from the business community with their expertise and their world experience, and they share that virtually in the class.
Fantastic. So there's lots of ways people can learn. And if you want more information, go to jabc.ca. Thank you, Marvalee, for being on the show today. It was great having you.
Thank you very much, Sybil.
And when we return, we're talking about where to get retirement income from. So don't go away. Welcome back. Thanks for your emails, tweets, and messages. Today's question is from Valeria. Dear Sybil, I am 64, widowed, and retiring in a few months. I have investments in an RSP, a TFSA, and a non-registered investment account. I have a pension, but will need to withdraw from my investments to pay for travel and other extras. I would like to minimize tax now and for my estate. Which account should I start pulling from first? Well, Valeria, that's a great question because every one of those accounts you mentioned is taxed very, very differently. So your non-registered investment account, any money that you put in, you can pull back out without paying a dime in taxes. However, every dime of interest, dividends, and/or capital gains that you earn on that is going to be fully taxable in the year the return is made. So even if you don't spend it and you leave money in a non-registered account, but it grows in value and generates dividend income, you're still going to pay taxes on that each year along the way. Your TFSA, however, there's no taxes at any time. You can pull money out, it can earn as much as it wants, and you're not going to pay any taxes. An RSP or a RIF account is a little bit different. When you put money into it, you got a tax deduction. Any interest, dividends, and capital gains it's earned, you won't pay any tax along the way. But when you pull it out, the whole thing is taxable. Every dime you pull out of a registered account is taxable. So what we normally suggest for most people is start with your non-registered account first. That is the account that is going to generate taxable income each year along the way. So if you start pulling that money out first, then it will reduce your taxes over time. And we usually suggest touching your registered plans, RSP and RIF, last. Of course, at age 71, you have to convert your RSP to a RIF and start pulling out at 72, so that does need to be factored in. Ultimately, you will likely take your TFSA money last. So before you do anything and follow this advice, go see an accountant to make sure the right strategy is in place for you. And that wraps up this edition of The Wealthy Life, helping you make smart financial decisions. Join the Wealthy Life Club by becoming a member at thewealthylife.com. You'll get access to everything you need to live the wealthy life.